Thank you so much for joining on your lunchtime today. First, an introduction. My name's Joshua Ross. I'm the enrollments manager here at 4th Rev for the LSE Data Analytics Career Accelerator. I've been involved with and in the program since its inception in late 2021. So very much looking forward to answering any and all questions that you have regarding the program. Let's kick off with a few practicalities first. The session will be 45 minutes to an hour, depending on the number of questions. I hope there are a lot of questions coming from you all. To share all of your questions, please use the Q&A function. We'll, as mentioned, respond to as many as possible, either during or after the session. For other remarks, please use the chat function as well. If we do experience some delays or glitches, please bear with us. We will resolve those as quickly as possible. We will send you a summary of slides, and a recording of this session will be available to afterwards via email. If you do have any questions, any comments, any ideas after the session, you can email us at lseonline@4threv.com. So what we're going to do, I'm going to start by providing some more insight into the program at a high level, specifically around the outcomes. And then from there, what we'll do is we'll jump into the Q&A component and answer as many questions as you have. I can obviously also provide more specifics into the actual learning experience, and we'll be making mention of an exclusive offer that we have for the upcoming April 22nd presentation. So about LSE and 4th Rev. LSE collaborates with 4th Rev along with industry leaders. And so for this program, that's Tableau and GitHub, to deliver the Data Analytics Career Accelerator. It's a 6-month online digital by design program, designed to fast track careers in data analytics. I think it's important for us to start by touching on the kind of high-level outcomes, what the program's designed to achieve and who it's designed for, and how we can support you in uniquely achieving your intended career outcome. There is a global skills shortage that's occurring within data analytics. And so the Career Accelerator is designed to help either individuals looking to change career, so potentially land their first role in data analytics, or you may already have some experience with data analytics in a current role. A good example of that could be, say, an accountant, finance, healthcare, but it is, very varied as to what those roles look like. And moving forward, you can see the importance of data analytics in your role, so a further progression and development of your skills are required. So we kind of categorize these two types of individuals as career changes or career advances. If you're at the beginning of your career as well, and you're looking to land your first role, then we'd categorize you as a career starter. But ultimately, that outcome is working towards, landing a job in data, which is similar to a changer. Due to this, and each individual having a core focus on career outcomes, we like to measure the success of the program in helping you achieve that, rather than just traditional education where it might be focused on teaching you skills and leaving the rest for you to figure out or determine on your own accord. So as mentioned, it's a 6-month online program where you'll learn from the knowledge of the LSE, and that's being combined by industry experts for this program, Tableau and GitHub. And there's 3 main ways that we feel we can support you in achieving your intended outcome. And these obviously will be modified depending on what it is that you're looking for. But the first component is the fact that the program is designed by the LSE, a top global reputable university, and you'll receive a certificate of completion from the LSE. This allows you to clearly highlight that you've studied and completed your study at a world-class university. And the intent of this is to open up employment opportunities to prospective employers, or even advance within your current employer, based on the reputation and prestige of the LSE. QS University rankings, which are one of the largest university rankings in the world, give LSE a global employer reputation ranking of 93.1%. So that's one of the largest in the world. And essentially what it means is that industry and employers view individuals in really high regard that have studied at the LSE. And so it's a significant piece of the puzzle, whether you're looking to advance or change your career, is studying at a reputable university. And that can't be understated, and it often can't be replicated either. Having said that, whilst the certificate of completion is really crucial in opening up opportunities, employers now are very much looking to hire based on skills, not just certificates or qualifications. So once you're in an interview, how do you actually showcase and highlight and demonstrate the skills that you have to meet the requirements of a role? For this program, that's done via a digital portfolio of evidence. So there are no exams in the program. It's replaced with 4 major projects that you complete, which are then housed in what we call this digital portfolio of evidence. And what that allows you to do is to help you storytell and visualize the skills that you have and the experiences you have to a prospective or current employer, rather than, say, showing a grade sheet, which doesn't necessarily give the employer any further indication or better indication of your ability to perform in that role. Lastly, the one-on-one career coaching that you receive. So you can have all of the skills in the world, but if you're unable to highlight, showcase them effectively, you may miss out on opportunities that you shouldn't be. And so to kind of support you holistically alongside your learning, you'll have access to one-on-one executive style career coaching. And the intent is to empower you with the skills and the tools you need to achieve your unique career outcome. And we've seen great success thus far with the model in cohorts, some cohorts previously. We've seen up to 60% of the students achieve their career outcome prior to completing. So it's a great indication of that return on investment. And whilst that's not guaranteed to all, each individual is unique, it does showcase potentially how quickly that career outcome can be achieved. As flagged, the next intake upcoming is April 22nd. Every intake does have limited placements. Thus far, we have tended to not have remaining placements. So the sooner that you can apply, it's certainly recommended once you feel comfortable. I think before we jump into the Q&A, what I'd like to do is now that I've highlighted back here kind of the 3 major outcomes, is to give you some insight into 2 of our graduates, their unique circumstances, and try and align a little bit for you how those 3 outcomes, or the ways, the tangible things that you receive, can align to how they helped Ted and Elodie in achieving their outcomes. So let's start with Ted. Ted's a career advancer. He has worked as a supply chain coordinator for the International Committee of the Red Cross. He had dealt with data previously. He'd actually studied some quantitative units at university, and he dealt with data previously in his supply chain roles. A part of his role when he entered the program was involving delivering health products to African conflict zones. And as we can see here, a quote, "So I've extended my capabilities as an outcome from traditional logistics, as I can now bring more value through optimization, prediction, and decision-making grounded in data. This data will be used to inform the need for medical supplies based on the patterns of conflict and deliver these supplies before they are needed to ultimately save more lives." So a really incredible example of the real-world impact that this program can have for you, and the incredible things that some of our learners are doing after. That line there, ultimately save more lives through data, is so incredibly impactful. And there's so many different ways, dependent on your circumstances, that you can have an impact in your career as a part of completing. Now, on the flip side, Elodie, she's a career changer. Elodie had worked as a teacher for 16 years, as a scientist before that, had always had a kind of background, keen interest in data, and begun to explore study options that would give her skills she needed to transition into a career in data analytics. As an outcome, she landed her job at AssessTech as a data scientist before she completed the career Accelerator. I teach the stage of my career where I felt nothing was going to change. I really wanted to try something different that would suit my skills. I'd been in an education bubble for a long time, and I wasn't sure I had the skills to make a complete change and do something completely different. The program has had a massive impact on my life, not just her career, her life, and she successfully completely changed her career. So I'm really excited as to what comes. Two vastly different scenarios, but these outcomes can be linked. The ways that we support you can be linked to either scenario really effectively. So if we touch on Elodie as a true career changer, one of the key components for her is a lack of work experience in data and a lack of recognition by employers that she actually has the skills she needs to perform. So having the recognition of the LSE in allowing her to network, apply for roles, enter an interview process that maybe wouldn't have occurred previously without the reputation and prestige of LSE, that assisted in her journey of actually applying and interviewing for roles. As we spoke to, though, that challenge is once you're in an interview, how do you actually showcase? So for Elodie, who was in her 40s at the time, how does she showcase or overcome the fact that she doesn't have direct data experience? And that digital portfolio of evidence and talking to 4 tangible, real projects that she's completed was really impactful in her landing a role as a data scientist. On top of that, though, and as Elodie has highlighted, I wasn't sure I had the skills to make a complete change and do something completely different. This is a really common feeling for a lot of individuals and potential candidates that we speak to around, for lack of a better term, an imposter syndrome. Am I good enough? Can I achieve this? If I do this, will I actually land a role? Will I get a promotion? And this is where the career coaching comes in. It's so personalized and tailored to assist you and overcome your specific challenges. But one of the things that Elodie credits is the one-on-one support of the coaching to help her get out of her comfort zone, specifically around networking, to ultimately help her land the role that she did as of the support that was provided to her from the coaching. So it can't be understated at all. Jumping back on Ted's slightly different. Ted's looking at better performance in his current role and progression with his current organization, whilst also still being open to roles elsewhere. Ted already understood the value of the prestige of the LSE and the value of studying at a top global university. For him, it was going to allow him to get better buy-in from the Red Cross about, he wasn't going to get financial support from the Red Cross, but rather look at study time. And so he still needed to get their buy-in as to the program that he was doing to assist him in completing the study. So we look at that. There's the reputation of the LSE. The portfolio of evidence allowed Ted to showcase to management, decision makers in the organization, what he has currently learned. More importantly for him, by completing the projects and actually learning the skills, he very quickly was able to apply those skills to his current role. And as we saw, I keep highlighting, it's allowed him to ultimately save more lives as a part of that. Finally, in terms of the coaching, that was more long-term for Ted. So looking at one, what does progression look like in his current organization? Are there any complementing skills that he may need to develop to achieve that? For example, management skills, leadership skills, but also look at a roadmap that if he were to go elsewhere in the future, how can he be best prepared for that? So Ted certainly capitalized on all of those three main outcomes as a part of completing. Keen to jump into some questions. There's some coming in, which is great. We will talk a little bit more about the exclusive offer in a moment and more about the specifics of the program a little later on, but I'd like to jump into some specific questions. And please keep coming through with them. First question, is this course certificate issued by LSE? Absolutely. This is an LSE program. The certificate you will receive is exactly like any other LSE program. Fourth Rev and our contribution is operating under the umbrella of LSE for this in assisting with your learning experience. We specialize in online learning, so the student support, the executive style career coaching, the virtual learning environment is all something that we support you in utilizing throughout the program. But yes, most definitely the certificate is certified by the LSE and similar to any other program. Question number 2. How intensive is this program? Can you talk through the structure over the 6 months? I certainly can do that. And the program is, and we'll jump back here to this slide. So the program is 6 months in length. It is digital by design. It's designed that it's still really engaging and interactive for you, but you're never required to be anywhere physically. Last time I checked, the average age of the students is between 33 to 35 years old. Vast majority are working full-time or part-time as they do this. We do have individuals that aren't working at all, and that's great, but it is designed for individuals that are juggling multiple commitments. How that looks is that you will access all of your content in the virtual learning environment Canvas. And the goal is you're working towards completing your 4 key projects, which are listed on the screen here. If that breaks down into time, you're looking at basically a major project due every, say, 6 or 7 weeks. To accompany this self-paced learning and accessing the content via Canvas, each week there will be 2 instructor-led classes that aren't compulsory but recommended to attend if you can. One of the classes is STAR, where they will go through the weekly content and answer any questions that you specifically have on that week's content. The individuals you're learning off are course facilitators. They're people with academic and industry experience that have been approved by the LSE. They are not LSE faculty and academics, but LSE faculty and academics have led and built the design of the content. So their learnings, and there's some pre-recorded video content, is embedded all throughout the program. So again, the Career Accelerator is unique in the sense that you're learning the best of what academia has, but your weekly sessions are run by individuals that have been through or are going through similar challenges to what you're facing. Now, to accompany that live session where we go through the weekly content, there's also a more open Q&A session where you can jump in and ask any question you like of the facilitators. Doesn't have to necessarily be content specific. It could be industry specific, or just generally asking around their insights and experiences. Both of those programs will tend to occur midweek and over lunchtime. That's based on feedback, and we've seen attendance rates being incredibly high at that time. We do have scope to, if we need, adjust and say have a live session of an evening midweek if there was a demand and a need for that. But the standard that we do have is 2 lunchtime classes per week. In total, for most of you, and everyone's unique. And so we certainly encourage, there's two outcomes from this webinar is we have an eligibility survey that you can fill out to self-assess, which we'll be sharing in the chat, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. We encourage you to fill that out to get a baseline understanding of if this program will fit for you. Or alternatively, we most definitely recommend you booking a time with your enrollment advisor too, to have a more in-depth conversation prior to, or ideally after, you completing the eligibility survey. Without knowing all of your unique circumstances, I think it's safe to recommend around 20 hours of study per week on average will give yourself the best opportunity to complete. But the flexibility is there, other than the 1 to 2 live sessions per week. When and how you do that study around your other commitments is up to you. Finally, on the structure, you can see here there are 3 courses. These courses is where you'll work through learning all of the in-demand skills and technologies. If I could try and break the content down into kind of 3 key areas, we're looking at one, which is obviously the technical skills of data, which is really crucial. And by nature, this program is technical. The second component is the visualization of data. But also then looking at the business outcomes and aligning all of these technical skills to business outcomes, and being able to communicate to non-technical people to allow them to make key business decisions. So you're going to get great exposure and practice to those 3 key areas: the technical skills of data analytics, the visualization, and aligning that with key business outcomes for whatever your role may look like in the future. Once you do that, very excitingly, you will complete a practical project, what we call an employer project. And we have a pool of real businesses that we work with, and they will give us a unique business challenge, data sets for our teams to work on. This will be done in small groups of 4 to 6 candidates. The previous 3 courses are individual assignments. And you'll go about solving a challenge and presenting to the employer at the end as you would in the workplace. So it's mimicking exactly what you would do, and it's giving you great opportunity to fall back. Again, we've spoken about the value and the prestige of the LSE, but also being able to talk to real outcomes delivered in this employer project. For the Data Analytics Career Accelerator, we've got a project upcoming with the Bank of England. We've done multiple projects with ThoughtWorks, a global software and consulting company. To give you an example that I'm able to mention that the teams have loved previously was with ThoughtWorks, but a focus on Transport for London, and looking at the fact that by 2041, 80% of all travel will be made by either foot, bicycle, or public transport. So the teams worked on a data-driven approach to achieving that vision. So a really powerful one, topical. To be able to lean on that and talk to that to prospective employers is a really powerful thing, and will give you great confidence that you can start applying those skills into your future or current role. Next question. If I take this program as a mid-career professional looking to change careers to a data analytics role, how can I leverage my work experience so far so I don't have to start my career from scratch? Do you help with that? Absolutely. And thankful for that question, actually, because if we jump back to Elodie, this was a really key component of the challenge that she faced around being afraid to completely change and do something completely different. As a mid-career professional, the often desire is that, yes, for most, if you are changing career, you don't want to take too many steps backwards. And so one of the things that the career coaches will work very closely with you is to identify roles that firstly are realistic, but also will allow you to combine previous skills that you've already developed that will complement what you learn in the program. So if we use Elodie as an example, and working as a teacher for 16 years, her communication skills are really strong. Her ability to storytell and convey a message are really powerful. And as highlighted in what we teach you in the program, that is a really in-demand, crucial component of being a data analyst in the professional world. So we most definitely will help you with that, and make sure that we align on a career outcome that is realistic for you. Great question. Is there a discount for this course, and how much is a 6-month payment plan? So the program full fees are £8,395. We have 3, possibly 4 payment options available. You can elect to pay upfront in one lump sum, and for that qualifies you for a £600 fee reduction. Alternatively, the question here around how much is a 6-month payment plan, we do have a 6 or a 9-month payment plan option that has no additional fees or interest. So you would pay a 10% deposit upon acceptance into the program. As flagged, placements are limited and competitive. So once you pay that deposit, your placement's officially secured. And then the remaining fees would be spread over 6 or 9 equal monthly installments. So off the top of my head here, and I'm more than happy, I'll be sharing the specifics of the payment options for you afterwards, should you require. But you're looking at about £830 deposit. Over 6 months, you're looking at around £1,200 per month. And over 9 months, you'd be looking at about £800 per month. We do have a 4th option that is for UK citizens or residents, and generally individuals that are employed, and that is EdAid. It's a finance provider of ours that provide 24-month payment plan options, both interest and fee-free. There's a couple of additional steps with EdAid. It's all very streamlined via their platform. There's a credit check to make sure that we're not putting you under financial hardship. But if you meet those criteria that I flagged, that may be a viable option. So again, payment options are listed in the eligibility survey for you to have a look at in writing. Of course, if you book a time after that as well with your enrollment advisor, we can talk in more detail about your circumstances and which payment option may best suit your circumstances. Next question. So how many applications are accepted? This will depend per intake. We tend to not take more than up to a maximum of 100 applicants per intake. But for our upcoming April intake, we're looking at a maximum of 80 students. So generally speaking, between 80 to 100 students per intake. The intent of that is to make sure that we can maintain the hyper-personalized experience that you do receive with the career coaching, access to student support, all of those sort of things as well. We do have, to highlight, entry criteria as well. So a part of the eligibility survey is allowing you to self-assess. Also, obviously, helps to speak to an EA. But generally speaking, there's 3 criteria. You can gain entry into the program via previous education, so at least a bachelor's degree. And if in that degree you have at least 1 unit of quantitative studies, anything to do with numbers, then that can deem you eligible. Alternatively, if that's not the right pathway for you, if you've got at least 3 years of experience dealing with data or numbers to some extent, what we're looking for there is a use of ideally Microsoft Excel at a minimum. But we understand everyone is different, hence why it's important to speak to an EA if you want further clarity. If you don't meet either of those 2 criteria, then there is a technical assessment, an aptitude test, which is 30 minutes. It's multiple choice. It's 30 questions, and it's focused basically on logic and statistics. If you can get 50% or above, then you are deemed eligible for the program. We've had many students gain entry via that way. We've got some great success stories of that too. An individual that comes to mind from our very first cohort is a lady called Moha, who came from a policy background, a law background, had made the decision that she specifically wanted to move into data, or required the data skills to land her next role, and actually had earmarked a specific role at Spotify. So we do love students who have a specific idea in mind of what their career looks like, but it is unique for an individual to come in with a specific organization that they definitely want to land a role for. But in Moha's instance, she had to complete the aptitude test. She just got by, just got 50%. And And from there, it was a big challenge, the first few weeks to incorporate the study into the routine, and to get to the level that she needed to. But she persevered. She utilized all of the support that was accessible to her. And as an outcome, she landed that role at Spotify, where she combines previous skills with the skills she's learned in the program, and basically uses SQL or SQL, part of the technical skills we learn in the program, to identify hate speech, and podcasts that break the terms and conditions of Spotify. So a really good example, and a really great success story. In her instance, she doubled her expected salary as well, as a part of landing that role at Spotify. Bit of a tangent on the entry criteria, but I hope that answers your question. Next one, for course one, does LSE provide access to the software like Tableau, etc.? Yes, most definitely. The fees will cover everything you need. You do need a recently up-to-date computer. We've got very, very basic minimum requirements for that. Can be Mac or PC. But the only requirement that you will need to have is Microsoft Excel. All other programs, software are provided to you as a part of the program. Next question. Are these live sessions recorded for those who can't attend? Most definitely, they are recorded. So as flagged, they are optional. You don't need to attend the sessions. We encourage you to when you can, but understand life gets in the way. So you can watch those sessions at any time after completion. Next question. Can you pay more than 10% for the 6 to 9 month payment plan? Most definitely. Most definitely. If there is a challenge with cash flow for you, you could pay a 30% deposit, which then makes your monthly repayments more affordable over 6 or 9 months. We're flexible by that, like that. We're happy to accommodate and support you in whichever way that you need. Another question on fees. Is there a discount on fees for LSE alumni? Yes, most definitely. Now, if you have had the opportunity to study with the LSE previously, there is a 15% fee reduction available as well. Doesn't necessarily need to be a previous bachelor's degree or master's. If you've done even a short course, generally that will qualify you for the LSE alumni reduction. Off the top of my head, ends up being about £7,135, I believe, with the 15% fee reduction. Next question. So how are the assessments and projects graded? Would there be a final grade reflective on the certificate of completion? So to complete the Career Accelerator, you need to basically just get 50% or above in your 4 projects, but you will still receive a grade and a percentage, and you'll get significant feedback as to how you perform and how you can improve. So alongside your certificate of completion, you will receive a grade sheet as well, which you can use to showcase. So we're covering all bases there: the certificate, the grade sheet, should you require, and obviously, most importantly, the digital portfolio to actually highlight in detail the skills and the experiences that you have had during. Great amount of questions. Really appreciate that. Keep them coming through. As we wait for any final questions, I will jump back to the offer that we have upcoming for April 22nd. So I've spoken in detail about the importance of the executive style career coaching, and how that's assisted in us in achieving some great career outcomes for our previous cohorts. What we are offering for this upcoming cohort is exactly what the screen says. So coaching until you reach your goals. Traditionally, what happens with the program is you will have 6 one-on-one coaching sessions with your coach. You'll have access to asynchronous content in the virtual learning environment, which we encourage you to complete in preparation for these sessions. And you'll have a goal setting session as well that occurs prior to content delivery. What we aim to achieve with those sessions is that you achieve your outcome within 3 months of completing the program. So afterwards, you'll also leave with basically a 90-day plan to achieve your outcome. As mentioned in some previous cohorts, we've seen up to 60% of the students land roles prior to completing. So it's certainly achievable, but we do look at 3 months prior to completing. For this intake, if you join the Career Accelerator by April 1st, you'll get access to an outcomes-based coaching package. So instead of limiting you to 6 sessions, if that hasn't been suffice for you to achieve your outcomes, we'll make sure that you receive extra one-on-one career coaching sessions until you achieve your specific career goal. So we'll define a realistic plan of action to make sure that your career goal is achievable, and then we'll provide as much support as you need until you achieve that outcome. The key one here too is the opportunity to use these sessions post-program if they occur, say, after the 3 months of completing, which can occur because everyone's circumstances are unique. Thus far, I've seen a great uptake with this. Definitely encourage you to explore it, conversation to have with your enrollment advisor as well. But being able to apply and get approved and secure your placement by April 1st is very realistic, many weeks up until that point. And we can make that process happen quite quickly once you've had a conversation with your enrollment advisor. We do have some more questions. So are the course assignments and projects done individually or in groups with other participants? So to remind you here, courses 1, 2, and 3 are individual-based assignments, and course the employer project, 4th project, is group-based. Small groups of 4 to 6 candidates, say, as well. Now, in courses 1, 2, and 3, there's a slight grade on peer-to-peer engagement. We try to encourage and foster great networking opportunities as a part of the program. Even though it is completely online, you will build really strong bonds with your peers. And excitingly, we've seen candidates achieve great outcomes through networking with their peers, employment opportunities at organizations that their peers are at. We've seen individuals that have had their own business who have hired candidates as a part of completing as well. So, with it being an LSE program, it attracts a great caliber of individual, and with this program reaching so many, or being appealing to so many different people from different walks of education and professions, it's a great opportunity to expand your professional network as a part of the learning experience. Next question, will support be provided for doing the project if the current employer don't allow contractors to use their resources? I'm not sure I fully understand this, but I'll try and answer it as best as what I understand. These 3 courses, we provide the projects, we provide the data sets, and we provide the topics. So there's no requirement for you to utilize any resources from your employer ever, or data for any of the projects during the program. And then the employer project will be, again, given from a project partner that's provided from us here at 4th Rev and LSE. So again, you can't go out and do a project with your current employer or an organization that you desire. It will be from a pool of partners that we have readily accessible. If that doesn't answer it, please shoot through another question. So what level of proficiency participants would be able to demonstrate in SQL, Python, R at the end of the course? Is it intermediate or advanced? It's a good question. The program is designed to take you from little to no knowledge to job ready, of that being at a data analyst or a business analyst. And so you will get significant exposure to SQL, Python, R, Tableau, Excel as a part of the learning experience, and would allow you to comfortably step into a data analyst or business analyst role as a part of completing. The gray area is obviously then what is your previous experience. as we've spoken about with Elodie, what are complementing skills that you have that we can use to help you land roles that are realistic and to your expectations. But yeah, you'll get full exposure to all those key areas, and you'll be at that level to step into a data analyst role, broadly speaking, or any role that deals with data to some extent. You will obviously need to continue as well once you're in the role, continue to develop as you go and you learn on the role, with how quickly data moves. It is quite crucial that we give you the foundations and that then you can learn those skills, the remaining skills in the role as well. Can this course be a stepping stone to progress into a data science field? Yes, it can. It won't give you all the skills you need to be a data scientist. But we've had individuals land roles as data scientists too. So it depends on what that role actually looks like. Everything you learn in this program is relevant for a data scientist role, but you would probably need to lean more into machine learning and more in-depth AI in the data scientist realm, to then be looking at those really heavily technical roles in data science. But we've had individuals land roles as data scientists as a part of completing, and it is, as you've asked, certainly a very good stepping stone to progress into data science. Next question. So for some reason, if unavailable to attend any course, can we take a break from the program and continue later? Yes, there are terms and conditions there, and the student success team will play a big support in your experience, but each case will be determined based on each unique circumstance. So if you start the program, ideally your intent is that you will finish it in the 6-month period, but if unforeseen circumstances occur, you'll lean on your student success manager, who plays like a concierge role for you. Any issues, any challenges, anything you need to talk about, you will go to them. And then we will determine the best way moving forward to help you complete the program now, or if required, return at a later date to do so. Do you foresee AI being a competitor in securing a job in the future? Well, we incorporate some AI masterclasses and learning into the program. And so the view is more so that as a data analyst, you'll be working with AI rather than it necessarily replacing you. And so that's why there is a real importance to have some AI exposure as a part of the program, which we have through some masterclass sessions. So no, it's about being able to work effectively with AI in a role in data analytics rather than it necessarily completely replacing you. That, I believe, is everything. So please continue. We've still got time. If you've got any other questions, to jump in with further questions. They've been really well rounded. I really appreciate those. As a reminder, here with the coaching offer, applications are already open for April 22nd. If you join by the 1st of April, you'll receive additional career coaching sessions until you reach your goal. And for most of these, it's really crucial to achieve your career outcome. That's going to see that return on investment and value for you. Moving forward from here, your two options after this webinar to complete the eligibility survey if you have not done so. So it's a couple of questions around your background, what you're looking for, what's realistic for you in terms of time and finances. So it allows you to self-assess. Really helpful to do that. And once you've done that, there's a link to book a time with your enrollment advisor, which is the recommended next step. That's where we really get to know your unique circumstances, what it is you're looking for, and see if you are like a Ted or an Elodie. Do the outcomes align with what we can provide? And alternatively, you can just book a time with an EA as well. If you don't want to do the survey, you're welcome to do that. We'll provide those, or have provided those. Let me double check in the chat. Or we will. And otherwise, you can go ahead and directly apply too. There'll be a meeting link for you to do that if you need, but certainly recommend eligibility survey or booking a time with an EA before applying so that you are best prepared and we can help you streamline that process. So I believe I'm just having a quick final look here at any other questions. Okay, is there a way to contact alumni of this program to hear their experience? We've got many webinars with previous students. There's a whole pool of those on our YouTube channel. I'd recommend looking at those. Instead of just speaking to one alumni, you're going to hear multiple examples of people that have completed the program. Generally speaking, we're not in a position to be able to connect individuals to individual alumni, but yeah, for unique circumstances that can occur, but would certainly recommend the YouTube channel first to look at that. There's many webinars with current or ex-students. We'll be hosting an AMA similar to this with a current student in the coming weeks before the upcoming April 22nd intake too. Look, again, if you book a time with an EA and have a conversation with them, if there is scope for us to facilitate a conversation with an alumni, we will, but it's certainly not the norm, and would recommend using the resources that we have readily available on YouTube first. I think that's it. Looking at final questions. Great, YouTube, just double checking here. So YouTube channel's been posted in the chat, the book a time link, the eligibility survey, fantastic. So all of that's there, the type form there for you to complete for the survey. So waiting final questions here. I see, can you talk through, final one, can you talk through the structure over the 6 months? Sure, we revisited this earlier on, but we'll do it again briefly and can send the recording for you if you miss this part of the conversation, to allow you to hear everything I said here. But this is the basic structure over the 6 months. You've got 3 6-week courses that you complete that are focused on teaching you the in-demand skills and technologies and completing a major project, individual project at the end of each 6 weeks. So they're the 3 of the 4 projects. And then there's a group-based employer project to round out your learning experience where you apply everything you've learned to a unique business challenge and a live data set from a real project partner from ours, so a real organization such as the Bank of England or ThoughtWorks, who are a global software and consulting company. Everything is completed online. It's digital by design. It's a blend of self-paced learning and instructor-led sessions. Apologies for being brief on this, but it has been covered, so happy to talk through it again offline with the individual that did ask the question. Final questions? Otherwise, thank you for attending. Really appreciate it. I hope you got value out of it. More than happy to chat further offline with the team of EAs. We're here to support you and make the process really smooth and easy.